Yes, we're back again. It is once again Friday night. It is 9 o'clock, and as always, you know what that means. It must be time for that Friday feeling here on the Boys on the Bus. And bit of deja vu. It is one of those weekends again. It's that fixture again. Just like I said this time last week, who's feeling nervous? Who's excited? Is there some battle fever in the air, as they like to say, across the city? Because yes, we're going to do it all again. We enjoyed it so much last week. Hell, let's just do it again. So Celtic are off to Ibrox for the second Sunday in a row. Scottish Cup this time. So slight difference in that fact that there has to be a winner. Obviously last week, very, very good battling 2-2 draw to come back from the utter depths of despair that we were all feeling at half-time. But a 2-2 draw won't do this Sunday. There has to be a winner on the day if penalties are required. And Jesus Christ, I hope that's not the case for us because we're not very good at them. So that could be a possibility. Hopefully that's not the case. And it's going to be a nice, calm, easy day at Ibrox. Somehow I doubt it's not. It's going to be the usual carnage. But we will go through all of that. We'll talk about the events of the last 7 days as well as we catch up with Liam and Johnny. And we'll get all your thoughts as well, folks. So welcome along. And let's go around the table and see how my triple threat of Tims are doing tonight. So Canada's favourite Tim, Liam, how are you doing, my man?
Not bad. Sorry I didn't get on the post-match show last week. I was just, it was one of those times where I was absolutely jiggered. Just, use one of my old uncle's famous words. I got up at 4 a.m, 3 a.m, watched the game. And by the time that game was done, I was exhausted.
I was and so pretty much at the end it was knackered.
I mean, it's a bit age catching up with me, but yeah, I just came back and I said, I can't do it. So I had to go back to my bed and I slept about 11 o'clock, in the afternoon, which is usual for me. But anyway, yeah, good to be back on, Phil, and nice to see my old pal Johnny.
Aye, how are you doing tonight, Johnny? And nowhere exotic tonight?
Nowhere exotic tonight. I was just, I'm off until the 20th of March before I go somewhere a bit more exotic than Lincolnshire. Last weekend I was obviously watched you and Terry on the bus home, which was probably a happier bus than we thought it was going to be at half time. I was watching the game in a bar in Johannesburg, and what was really tough about it was when I got the barman to put the game on for me. I was the only Celtic supporter there. It wasn't very busy, but there was these two South African lads.
Mm-hmm.
I still got talking to them while we were watching the game, and it was just, in the first half, it was quite tough with looking across and seeing the looks of almost pity that they were showing me as they were pretty much carving us open, especially in the first half. Obviously only in the first half, but. Yeah, I've never been at a pub watching a game somewhere where somebody's looked at me and you can see the pity in their eyes of what I'm having to put up with, but it all came good in the end.
Did they always buy you a drink to make you feel better? Did they go, here you go, here, this one's on me, you look like you need one?
No, they didn't do that. I don't think they were South African, didn't have any Scottish blood in them.
But no, you're right, it was the depths of despair. It did feel like at half-time last week, what the hell is this going to end? How is this going to go? But yeah, we did battle back, and it definitely changed the mood. Not just on that post-match show, but I just think in general, because this run of fixtures has been looming for the last few weeks. Obviously, Stuttgart away after getting a trouncing at home, then Ibrox, and then Aberdeen away, and then Ibrox again. And so far, we've got through 3 out of those 4 games, and up to now, we've done no bad, all things considered. Again, given what predictions were getting thrown out there just a few weeks ago. So hopefully there's one more to go, one more hurdle this weekend, and we can get over that, and then we are free of midweek games for a while. We can start to one game at a time, and we get 9 league games to go. So it's going to go the distance. But we've got all that to look forward to in the next 2 months. I'm sure there'll be more grey hairs on my head as well as we go through it. But before we do all that and talk about tonight and talk about Sunday's game, do all the good stuff, folks. Again, just help us out massively on the channel. We've passed 1,700 subscribers recently, so thank you very much to everyone who's jumped on board. 2,000, of course, is the next milestone, so we're not too far away. So keep it going. If you discover us tonight and like what we do and like the cut of your jib, keep us in your life that wee bit longer, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and you'll be notified when we're on the road. Of course, a like goes a long way on YouTube, because the more active your channel is, the more interactions you get, the more likely your channel will get suggested to people who like such content. So Celtic fans out there who haven't discovered us yet, they will be more likely to hit the old like button. Even the dislike button works. Interactions are good things. So yeah, if you want to do that as well, that's all good for us. Now let's see who is in our chat tonight. Who's joining in on this Friday feeling? Graham Tyrrell is in. Jim C is here. Kev1 is here. Chris D. Smell the Glove. James Kennedy. Ian McIntosh. Alan Robertson. Thomas Burns. Tanner is here. Who else have we got? Craig Queen is in as well. There's not shouted yet. Smell the Glove, congratulations. You're the first person to say that tonight. I said probably Liam, I said somebody's going to say, oh, Phil's got a perfect Christmas shirt tonight. No, it's Barcelona 2014 shirt. Catalan flag design, but yes, it is very perfect. I know, yellow and red stripes. It's a Galatasaray shirt as well, I suppose, with this design. It kind of fits their aesthetic. Who else we're not shouted out? Skulzo is also in. Teresa Lyle's in, and I think I've shouted out everybody so far. Oh, Gavi Boy's in as well, and yeah, I think I've got them all. If I haven't, I'll sure get to a comment of yours at some point, bring it up. But yes, welcome aboard, everybody. Take your usual seats. What else can you do? If you want to become a Boys in the Bus member, you can for $1.99 a month. Again, as I always keep saying, none of our content's ever going to be put behind Patreon or a paywall. We're not going to do anything like that. It just helps keep the old diesel in the tank. And if you wish to catch up via audio, if you want to download it on whatever phone, MP3 player, whatever it is that you listen to audio files on, then you can catch us when you're in the gym, walking the dog, whatever you're doing, then you can do that too. There is a link to our SoundCloud website in the description below. And how about a wee trivia question to get the brain going, guys? You know, I've brought this back in the last few weeks. So tonight's one has 5 answers, everybody. We'll come back to that at the end of the show, but yes, there are 5. So keeping in theme with obviously the game this weekend, Celtic and Rangers met in a highly charged Scottish Cup tie back in 2011. I think we all remember that one. Can you name the 5 players who were sent off across the initial tie at Ibrox and the replay at Celtic Park? Yes, across both games, there were 5 players sent off. And I'll give you a clue. 4 of them were wearing blue. So that gives you an idea of whose discipline was a bit wrong. But remember that night, it was the whole shame game after the replay, and it was the whole Old Firm, and Celtic began the whole we are not half of anything type of patter. And as I say, 5 players were sent off over the 2 games. Only one of them was a Celtic player. So anyway, that's the question tonight. Can you name the 5 players that were sent off across those 2 games? The initial game, the 2-2 at Ibrox, and then the 1-0 victory for Celtic at Celtic Park a week later. So there you go. That is tonight's question. Okay, so where shall we start? Through the week, obviously Aberdeen, Liam.
Aye.
Game that I think, I know at the time, I had a bit of worry about when it got postponed. At the time, I had this really horrible feeling. I was like, I don't know what it was, intuition or something. I was kind of like, I'm kind of glad this has been called off, because this was at the point, obviously, Aberdeen's pitch was torn up to hell because of the weather. I think they went like the first 3 weeks of the year or something where they didn't see a single day of sunshine, something like that, up in the Granite City. But yeah, obviously their pitch was suffering. The game got called off. It was frustrating for us because I think Hearts had lost to St Mirren the night before or whatever it was. So there was a chance there, and it felt like, oh, typical us, well, luck this season. Every time we get within striking distance, something happens. Either we lose a game or this happens. But I did feel at the time, I was like, I don't know, there's still a few injury problems with the team. It's just after the January window. There's new players came in. We need time for them to bed in. So maybe it is a good thing that's put on the back burner. And in the end, yeah, well, obviously a few players did recover from injury in time for this game, like Srirachi, for example. But we got over the line in the end. Me and Terry came on and did the post-match on Wednesday night. It's very typical of Celtic at the moment, Liam. No game is going to be a scoosh. I know at the end of every Friday feeling these days, you've got a running theme of your prediction. You know, we're due giving somebody a doing, but I've got a bad feeling we're not going to see anybody getting a doing, and it's going to be victories like that to the end of the season if we get them, Liam. But it is 3 points, can't really grumble, and we went up there with a job to do, and we did it.
Aye, we got it done, but, you know, we did it in a calamitous way. I mean, it went completely Keystone Cops at the end, where people were just running about chasing things, and it very much it looked likely. I mean, thank God that boy Cameron Lyle doesn't listen to his idiot manager and fall down at every challenge and stuff, because
Yeah.
Hatate went by him as if he was on a skateboard in the last minute. And I don't know if he made any contact with him, but Christ, Aberdeen's becoming a really team full of shite bags. And I thought they'd probably change when McInnes left, because you thought they'd have that real sort of, Rangers type thing in it, but they managed to surpass even them almost with this Peter Levin and some of his comments after the game about players should be going down and looking for these fouls. Same as well too with the I think it was a tackle, the assault on Kieran Tierney. I mean, that was absolutely brutal. I mean, you've got a player that's running with the ball that moves off the ball to try and create space, but not use his arm, but stamp on a player to stamp out there. And for the referees not to even look at that, that's just incredible. I mean, I think the biggest problem we're going to have right now, like looking at that Aberdeen game, the Rangers game, like somebody's got to start calling out these the referees and the VAR in particular. What they want to look at and what they call are two different things. If you look at the penalty, that penalty was like there was hardly any contact in the back of that fucker's leg, and he went down like shitbag, just screaming and that. And it's the same guy that stamped on Kearney, and Tierney. It's getting really frustrating. And the handball, I don't think you'll ever see a more blatant handball. And see some of the pundits that come on, like Peter Grant and all that, talking about, well, I could see that not given. Peter, just disappear into your beige or your grey flannel, and gaze off fucking rest. Most boring guy in the commentary world right now. He's so grey. Anyway, that was my feelings of the game. The only other thing as well was watching Scales bring the ball out now, which seems to be a common thing. That's getting me more grey hairs, and it's taking more years off my life. Watching Scales trying to control the ball and move forward, especially in that sluggish looking pitch. It looked like one of the when they keep displaying all the like Tesla robots and stuff like that, you see them walking and that. That's what Scales look like with the ball. He's look like we've taught a robot how to bring the ball out, and we're still nowhere near what it's like. No, they're still falling over it, and it takes about 3 touches to get it in control, and then he looks to see if he can pass it back, and he looks that way. I really, really hope that's not what our plan is for Sunday, and I'm hoping Martin O'Neill looks at that and looks at some of those games and figures out that's a real problem, and I think that cost us against Aberdeen. My plus side is I thought the boy Arthur played really well, but as much a plus as that is, he's no ours. He's probably going back at the end of the season somewhere. And we've managed to downgrade our strikers. We've managed to, Annie's managed to sign on loan worse strikers than Johnny Kenny. I didn't think that was possible.
Our strikers don't even don't even get chances in games. It's like, how can our strikers even score if they don't even look like getting even near the goal? It's mental right now. How
we don't seem. And I think that comes to the way Scales is bringing the ball out. It just seems too slow and cumbersome. I think we need to do something with the tactics and the formation. And it's just staring us in the face that this one forward isn't working. And Chinchara, he's just backing in. He's going to back himself all the way out the stadium with a player, So, it's just, we need something different. We need to figure out a way how we can create more goal scoring opportunities, because I can't go through another game like Sunday.
Oh, no.
Or even Wednesday.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because we've got a lot of thinking to do, and that's food for thought, I suppose. Last week with how we turned it around, but just in terms of some of the stuff there, Johnny, that Liam picked up on, talk about the defence. Now, I believe somebody try and correct me on this. Austin Trusty is available this weekend, I believe. Is that the case? Or is it because initially I heard that because it was violent conduct that he gets sent off for. he was suspended for all domestic competitions, which would include league and cup. So I was like, oh, so that means he's missing the Scottish Cup tie as well. But now I've heard it's just the league, so he is back for this. So yeah, but either way, he is available. So that does give us a dilemma, I guess, Johnny, you could say, because obviously the boy Benjamin Arthur played all right. Now Terry wasn't too impressed by him on Wednesday night, and that's fair enough. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. We all watched the game differently. I was quite high on his performance, but at the time, I think it was a case of I just like my defenders to do simple things. As Liam's saying there, Johnny, like Liam Scales plays himself into trouble, but again, he's been told to play this way because this is the modern day football. This is the modern day centre back. Everybody needs to be a Pep Guardiola clone, a robot, that plays out for the back and passes all the time. I thought Ben Arthur, he just kept it simple. Obviously, it's probably a case of like he's been thrown in late on and he's done his bit. And he's just like, I just need to clear my lines here. But I felt he dealt with the occasion well. And Sunday may come a bit too soon for him to start that one. So I do expect Trusty will probably come back in that case, Johnny. But overall, what were your feelings on Benjamin Arthur's performance? And do you think there's a chance he may do something surprising, like Liam's saying there? This is a chance to do a surprise. And obviously, if he was to say start with Trusty and Benjamin Arthur together, for example, that would be a surprise. Do you think Martin Neal was going to spring anything like that?
No. As far as Ben Arthur goes, I thought he settled into the game. There was a couple of times, there was one in particular when I think there was a high ball coming down and he went to try and get it and he sort of miscued it completely. And that was quite early on. But I thought as the game went on, he sort of settled and then he looked quite composed with the ball at his feet and not spreading it about as such, but keeping the simple passes. It's I know you said there about it being the modern game, but people from the likes of myself and Liam's generation, if you were playing in defence, it was generally because you were considered to be shite. It wasn't because you were considered...
Franz Beckenbauer was a defender back in the day. Yeah. He definitely wasn't shite.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about in Scotland. All right.
But was a defender.
We didn't get generally picked because they thought we were a good fullback or a good centre. No, we didn't want to play. Nobody wanted to play fullback and nobody wanted to play centre half. And I suppose in Scotland, the likes of Danny McGrain, when he came along, he maybe changed people's conceptions to playing fullback. Was that your influence with it, Liam? Yeah,
massive.
So the likes of Danny McGrain was, possibly the original overlapping fullback, and had the pleasure of watching Danny a few times rampaging down the wing, cross balls and whatnot. But I thought the young lad, considering this is only his fourth professional game of football, I thought he came on and done all right. Is he going to play on Sunday? I can't see it. If Trusty was suspended, and what happened to Murray? Did he pull up in the warm-up?
So Murray got injured in the warm-up, and that's, as I say, that's probably the reason why Benjamin Arthur maybe did start a wee bit shaky, essentially, and sort of eased into it because he was given a late call. It really was. It was like half an hour before kickoff.
Yeah, because I'd seen the team sheet that Liam had put on our WhatsApp group, and then I was watching the game. I thought he wasn't in the initial. I had to go back and check. So I think, given the circumstances, I think he done all right. Scales, again, I'm a bit like you, Phil. I like my defenders to defend. If they can play football as well, that's great. But if they can defend, that's what that's what you want from them. That's their job, as a certain Mr. Roy Keane would say. But as far as the actual game goes, I thought we started really well on Wednesday night. Scored the goal from that fantastic flick on from Scales.
Best thing he did all night.
And Tierney was in there gambling that the ball was going to get there either by Scales' flick on or a header or whatever, and scored. And I thought, right, we've actually scored relatively early on in the game. Let's push on. And at one point, I was even thinking this might be a chance to do something about the goal difference as well. But I think we put it in a group chat, Phil. We were talking on the group chat, and I said, why have we sort of scored, got our noses in front, and now we seem to have faded out of it again? And Aberdeen definitely came back into the game, and they started to apply a bit of pressure, which led up to the penalty kick. A bit like Liam, I think it was on the softish side, shall we say. The scale swung his leg and caught the guy in the back of the leg, and this day and age, they're going to go down at that like they've been hit by a sniper. And somebody put the comment, and I didn't see who it was, but I totally agree with the comment. Nick Walsh could not point to that spot quickly enough, So
in real time, it did look very clumsy, to be fair. As soon as I saw it, I thought, he's given this here, and it was. You swing your leg like that, and you don't connect with the ball and connect with the man. It's going to be a penalty. I suppose at the other end, we'd probably be shouting for it as well if it happened to us at the other end. No doubt there'd be a VAR check on that one and be like, oh, no. Like, of course, there was one later in the day that they waved away. Typical. But, of course, we are being led to believe that we do get all these decisions. Because, obviously, the goal that was scored, it was proven onside. And, I mean, it was very, very, very close. It was like as small a margin as it could be, but it was onside. It was shown there was an angle there. There's plenty of pictures doing the rounds that even was there. But, don't let that get in the way of a good story there, because a lot of that lot on social media are, again, constantly harping on about this conspiracy and all these decisions are going our way. And I saw a great reply to one of them today saying, well, if there's a big conspiracy, then they're not doing a very good job because we're still 5 points behind and we've lost 7 games this season. So if there's a conspiracy to help us out, it's not working very well in that case. So
they're hiding it well.
No, they're hiding it very, very well. But here's a thing about Wednesday night as well that's obviously going to bleed into this game on Sunday. Liam, as Alan Robertson has said about if Casper was in goal versus Aberdeen, he doesn't save Nisbet's header. Simple. We did highlight that on Wednesday night. And that is obviously one of the big questions going into Sunday. Now, I think Sinisalo is going to start. I think there's no reason to drop him. I think he's came in the last few games and he's been fine. I don't think there's anything you can do about Chimiti's overhead kick last week. If the best goalkeeper, Donnarumma or something, was in goal, he probably would have struggled to save that. It was a great goal. Sometimes you just got to take a hat off and say, credit where it's due. But I think that's Sinisalo. When you actually look at the way the game played out last Sunday, he was relatively quiet. Rangers got their 2 goals in the first half. Second half, they didn't make him do anything that I can remember of note. And then through the week there, the goal he's conceded is a penalty, and he's pulled out a blinding save there. But for me, I don't think there's any. I know Casper was pictured back in training today, and Martin O'Neill's obviously given the diplomatic line to the press and all that. He's got decisions to make and stuff. But to me, Liam, there is no decision here. It has to be Sinisalo on Sunday. He has been the cup goalkeeper as well, so it would stick with that. And again, it's shown in the last 2 games. There's no massive risk with Sinisalo being in. It's not like we're putting Ross Doohan in goal here. So to me, the goalkeeper, obviously I agree with Alan's comment. That save was fantastic. That was a prime, Kasper Schmeichel saved that one when he was at his best. But nowadays he's not getting up and saving that. But for me, Sinisalo, he has got to be the guy that is in on Sunday, Liam.
Well, considering across the street they're doing the greatest ever goals, is that the greatest ever save in Scotland?
No, I've seen better than that, but that was a good one.
I know, I've seen better than their goal as well. Listening to idiots like Slaney on open goal, the wee little mouthpiece, talking about better than McTominay's. Get to his piece, man. McTominay's got us into a World Cup. So did Tierney. This just kept the ship open for another couple of months. It's easy to get delusion with this,
at the moment. You really are.
Mate, it's rainy here. I'm just pissed off.
We've not even talked about Diamandi yet. I'm looking forward to when we bring his name up later, Liam, because I'm sure you've got something to say. I know he gets your blood boiling as well.
Aye. No, going to the keeper thing as well. I mean, you're right. It was a brilliant save. I agree with Alan. I don't think Casper saves that. Mm-hmm. The other thing I like about Sinisalo is, he's got that athleticism. So now he's got that confidence builder. He's got that, he's managed to see it a couple of games now, where, we've had a bit of a, dramash at the end. And Yeah, I think he's good. But what I like about him is I like when the ball's at his feet. He
Yeah.
seems to have. I was worried about him when he first came back, where it looked like, oh shit, his kickouts and all that were starting to look like Schmeichel and stuff. And it's like, what we doing it? But I think it just takes time. It takes time in getting up to the pace of a competitive match and people running and pressing you and stuff like that. And right now, he seems to be much more aware of the space around him. He's much more comfortable with the ball at his feet, and he's able to lift his head up. Whereas I look at Schmeichel, Schmeichel's always concentrating on the ball. The ball's at Sinisalo's feet, and his head's up. He's scanning, and that lets him hold on to it that wee bit longer. And as soon as they do that, that means that their players are pressing, and when we get it back out, that's giving us the guy either is much more open, much more space, but gives him chance to actually do something with the ball. If he gets too pressed, and yeah, kick it out by all means. I always forgive him for that. But I'm liking Sinisalo. I think I've liked him last year. I think when he came in, we
Yep.
should have had him. We could have an extra 2 cup finals, two winners medals. I think if we'd have played him in those 2 games. But I don't, you don't know with Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill is a very traditional type guy. He's all about respect. He's all about, like, doing things the traditional way. Still calls Desmond, Mr. Mr. Is it Desmond, Mr. Desmond, and all that fucking shite. But anyway, yeah, let's get the big fin in there. I'm finished.
I think he also looks. I think he looks all quite composed and authoritative when he's got the ball in hand as well. When he's collected it in the penalty box, I was a bit like you, Liam, when he first came back in there in that couple of games. I was thinking, I don't know. Actually, is he not what we were thinking? But I think in the last couple of games, I think he's made of the right stuff, and I think he deserves to keep his place on Sunday. Having said that, he deserved to keep his place for the cup final last year, and should have done, rather than playing an injured goalkeeper. But I like him, and I think he deserves the. And we're not talking about a rookie here. No. He's not. I know he's not got loads of international caps, but he's played 6 internationals. And I know people are going to say, well, it was only Exeter City he was on loan to, but I mean, he played there for a full year, and and some of the football down that lower levels can be quite good actually when you see little clips of it on the telly on the local news programs down here, and they show you the game, highlights from a game the night before, and you see some of the goals that get scored and some of the saves get made. There's some good players in that level, so I think he should be keeping his place, and I hope Martin shows him the respect of, you've got the jersey and you've done nothing to lose it. You're going to get to keep it.
Oh, definitely should. He has been the cup goalkeeper. The only anomaly in that was when Martin came in the first interim spell, we had Rangers in a cup semi-final just like a week after he came in, and he put Schmeichel in goal for that, and Schmeichel actually pulled a good save that day for Raskin when it was still 1-0 to us, I think. And yeah, there was a wee period there where suddenly Schmeichel looked like he was getting his act together, because he pulled out a few good saves. Then Wilfred Nancy came in, and yeah, it just went completely wrong again. And obviously the cup final against St Mirren, Jesus H Christ, that was abysmal. That one of the many horror shows that Casper's had. But yeah, obviously Sinisalo, he's back in the now. And yeah, I don't think there's any reason to change it. But as William says, you just don't know him, Martin O'Neill. He keeps us guessing all the way, especially after last week with the comments with Danny Rowe about, Celtic have got a dilemma with their goalkeeper, and Martin O'Neill was too happy that he's commenting on his team and who he's going to pick. So, but I think if it's got to be Sinisalo for me, especially if Casper is still feeling unwell, if there's still that going on. But an injury concern that might come up, Johnny, is obviously Kieran Tierney, who has been excellent this season. I think some fans are now starting to come around to it, because I've said a few times on this show about a lot of hyperbole this season. Some of the stuff that I've read from day one since Tierney's came back, we're only like a matter of games into the season, and fans were losing their mind that we didn't have the Kieran Tierney of 2017 back. And it's like, well, we're never going to get the Kieran Tierney of 2017 back. He has had a lot of injury problems. He is a bit older now, so it's like he's not, young teenager again, and you know that where we remember marauding up the left-hand side. So there was going to be a wee bit of adjusting. Obviously, he had some fitness issues to try and finish 90 minutes was tough for him. But he's been doing that progressively over time. But his numbers this season have been exceptional. And it's been pointed out now that Greg Taylor never had a season like this. He's now up to 5 goals and 11 assists. So yeah, Liam's favourite player, the sound of Greg Taylor clacks and everybody. Yes, he didn't have. And Taylor, you know, people, there was fans out there that did try and say that Kieran Tierney was a downgrade on Greg Taylor, which was quite an absurd one. I wouldn't have been against Greg Taylor staying, but he didn't want to stay as backup. If he'd stayed as the number 2 option,
backup.
But he didn't want to. He didn't want to. Oh, he's definitely Liam's choice. But obviously, we've got a very able backup in that case. But first of all, Sirachi, yeah, I've got no worries with Sirachi coming in if he has to. But secondly, obviously, it's gotten if Kieran Tierney has indeed suffered a bad injury here, because there was talk about Johnny if maybe a broken foot. There's again folks saying if you watch Tierney at the end of the game while the players are going over and applauding the Celtic fans in the corner at Pittodrie, there's a few close-ups of Tierney and he's talking to some other players, and it looks, again, the lip readers were out saying that it looks like he's talking about a broken foot, or maybe he's just worried it's a broken foot, but either way, he didn't look too good. And that's obviously, and when you think about it, that tackle on him from Olazanya came in the first half. He played into the second half before getting subbed. So if he has done that type of damage and played on, then it could be worse. Which is really gutting, because on Wednesday night, funny enough, I said to Terry, I went, you know, he's managed to avoid any long-term injuries so far, and it's almost like, yeah, I've probably cussed it now, haven't I? But that's obviously gutting, Johnny. And secondly, there is no worries though about Sirachi coming in, but the key is now Sirachi can't get injured, because then we are in jeopardy in the left back position, Johnny.
Yeah, but just on that, with Tierney, I was listening. I was out and about in the car this afternoon. I was listening to Martin O'Neill, and he was saying that they don't think the injury with Tierney's actually really is a broken foot or as bad as the first thought.
But he's going for scans, isn't he? Because the last time he had,
well, it said they were going to have a look at him tomorrow and see what tomorrow. Right, okay. So he didn't say any. I don't recall hearing him say anything about any scans or anything like that, although I had heard it elsewhere. But on Martin O'Neill's press conference, he made it sound quite hopeful that he might be playing, and it would be a shame if he's not. But it's like you said, you know, Sirachi's a more than capable stand-in replacement, whatever term you want to use. Like you said, I think we've all been a bit surprised at just how much football he's played and how much he's actually contributed with the 5 goals. I mean, I don't think Tierney scored 5 goals in a season in his life.
No, I don't think he did. No, he got a season. He got a couple, but I have never won 5.
So let's just see that Greg Taylor certainly made the right decision and decided to go elsewhere to play football, because he wasn't going to be getting it here. But he might not be getting it across in Greece either. I've got no idea. Still keep an eye on him. But it'd be disappointing if he's not fit. But from what I heard on the radio when I was out driving this afternoon, I think Martin O'Neill, whether he's just given it, smoke and mirrors for the benefit of the media, I've got no idea. It could well be the case. I was quite hopeful from what he said, but we shall find out on Sunday.
Yeah. I don't think realistic. Obviously, I am not a doctor, obviously, but if you've broken your foot or broken a bone, to have played on in any way, I don't think we would have done that, because it was it was midway through the first half when that happened, wasn't it? And then he's played on to his usual 60 minutes, 65 minutes. So he's obviously kept running on it. So if it was a broken bone there, I don't think we would pull that off. But there could still be some kind of injury there. Could be muscle, could be an ankle injury. And yeah, it could just be Martin O'Neill's just keeping it coy now. Just doesn't want to put anything out there. Maybe the club are just doing their own scans. Hopefully he is okay. It isn't long term. If he misses like one game or something, then right, fine, because yeah, we do need all hands on deck, Johnny. So fingers crossed that Martin O'Neill isn't just a bit of, as you say, smoke mirrors here. There is legitimacy that it's probably not as bad as what we first feared, because it would be quite a shame for the boy, because outside of Benjamin Neegman's contributions this season, you could probably argue that Kieran Tierney's probably second in the line of the contributions to goals this season, because, as Liam said earlier on, Johnny, it's certainly not our strikers that are scoring. And just on that subject, what do you even do with strikers, Johnny, right now? Like the number 9, you know, the sort of classic man through the middle. Like, what do you even pick right now if you're Martin O'Neill? What's even the best way to go here?
Oh, sorry.
I just, to be fair, to be honest, like, I would struggle to name our strikers. I think, you know, if we're going to class Maeda as a striker, I think I could name Maeda and Iheanacho. The guy who's came on and scored against Dundee with a little back flick on his debut in the last seconds of the game. Was his name Adamu or something?
Junior Adamu, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when he came on and scored that goal, which, to be fair to the guy, was a nice goal with the little back heel flick with seconds to go. You're thinking, oh, wonder what he's got about him. But it would appear from what we've seen of him of late, and you did say earlier on on the pod there, Phil, that, you know, if you're not getting the service, then you know, it's hard for you to show what you're good at. I mean, it's like, you know, if you're the best goalkeeper in the world and you're playing behind the best defence in the world and nobody's getting a shot at you, you've got no opportunity to show people how good you are. And it's the same for the strikers. And the other guy that I haven't got a clue what his name is, and that Big Tam. Big Tam. I mean,
Big Tam. Yeah.
I think, we could, you know, if he didn't start on Sunday, then I don't think anybody would give it a thought, to be honest with you. But what's the story with Iheanacho?
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, again, there's the world of Twitter. I know you don't indulge in it too much, Johnny. You're probably right not to, because you get some absolute moonhowlers at times, some conspiracy theorists and whatnot. But somebody out there suggested that perhaps Celtic have got some kind of clause in Iheanacho's contract if he plays X amount of games that triggers an automatic 1-year extension, and Celtic, being the cheapskates that they are, do not wish to do that. But funny enough, I heard Ryan 118 on his podcast today with Kieran Auld, the one he does, the Celtic the Thunder, and they brought this up, and then they, out of curiosity, went on to Transfermarkt, which is one of the websites with all the stats, just to see how many games he's played this season, and it was something like 7 games or something like that, and it's like, surely it can't be that then. It can't be. It'd be a round number at least. It'd be something like 15 or 20 appearances. It wouldn't be for 10 appearances. That's a real damning indictment if they signed a clause in the contract at the start of the season. If you manage to play 10 games this season, we'll give you a contract extension. So to me, I don't think that's true at all. I just don't think Martin O'Neill reckons it at all. Yeah.
Could you imagine if he played in the first 10 games of the season and was on 15 goals, and all of a sudden
we have to drop him? They don't fancy getting extended. Because since Martin O'Neill's came back in this second spell, the only time he's made a matchday squad is the European nights, when we're supposed to name 12 substitutes rather than 9. So I think that's the only way he's getting in. But domestic ones, I just don't think Martin O'Neill reckons them that much. I think that's what it is. And when he's talking about them, I think Martin's just giving the sort of diplomatic answer, just being polite about it. He's not going to come out and say, yeah, he's rubbish. I don't really reckon him that much. So I just think that's what it's down to, Iheanacho, which is weird, because from a fan point of view, I think he's been all right. I mean, obviously, not many of our forwards have been very good this season, but he's not been terrible. He seems to have a bit about him. But another one that reeks of a guy that's not going to score you 20 goals a season, and Terry's brought that up a few times on post-match shows. That's what we definitely don't have. You've got all these forwards that have got different characteristics and different elements to their game, but none of them you can look at and go, 20 goals a season from him, no problem. Iheanacho, Chamanchara, Adamu, Maeda last season, but now when he plays through the middle, he's absolutely dire. He's just all over the place. So yeah, it's a mystery right now. So the forward options, it's going to be a tough one. Again, you maybe look at, is now the time to try something different, try 2 up top, but I just don't think they will. I just don't think that Martin and Sean are brave enough to try something different at this stage, even though we can all see it's more than a bit stale. But in terms of tactics, let's look back at last Sunday, Liam, and what can Martin O'Neill and Sean look at that they did do differently in the second half that they can lean into to try and hopefully get a 90-minute performance out of this team, because that is the biggest problem, Liam. We cannot seem to get a consistent good performance for 90 minutes. The last good full 90 minutes we played was probably Dundee United 4-0 at Celtic Park, just after Martin came back to rescue this for the second time. Because, yeah, it seems impossible for Celtic to just go out there and just dominate a game. Wednesday night started so well, Liam, with the goal early on. As Johnny said earlier on, the first 10 minutes, it looked like they were up for this, zipping it around well. A second goal is imminent, and once a second one goes in, Aberdeen, we'll put about 4 or 5 past them tonight, no problem. But yeah, we just went back into our shell. Aberdeen got back in. It was a tough night. We got the win in the end, but looking at last week, obviously, it couldn't have got much worse than that first half. It really couldn't. It was chronic, to say the least. And obviously at half-time, Martin rang the changes. Is there an element as well that Rangers got a wee bit arrogant, a wee bit too full of themselves and thought, this will be a scoosh? I saw one pundit through the week talking about early in the second half, there was a point when Chermiti tried a wee fancy back heel flick when it was quite early on. And again, that was kind of like wee things like that, where it's like, the 2-0, as they always say, Liam, it's a dangerous lead. The next goal was very crucial in a 2-0 lead. And when Celtic got it, they were shaking. They began to rattle a bit. So Hatate was obviously the one that we looked at. One of the interesting observations that I did see through the week, Liam, is we tried not to remember this, but obviously we took a doing in the New Year game against them, right? Obviously we dominated the first half, and in the second half we totally capitulated. Sounds familiar. And the media coming out of that was all how Wilfred Nancy couldn't cope with Danny Rowe's brilliant tactical changes. Funny enough, I've not seen many headlines this week, Liam, about Danny Rowe couldn't cope with Martin O'Neill's brilliant tactical changes in the second half. It's interesting how that narrative has been kind of buried there. Because, yeah, obviously Hatate was the key. So I think it's safe to say, Liam, that Hatate has to definitely start on Sunday, because he played obviously through the week. He was pretty solid as well. A few moments where you really get caught in possession, but ultimately he was quite a calm head. He was involved in the build-up to the second goal. But I think he has to obviously come in again. But it goes without saying, and it sounds a very obvious thing to say right now, but he has to be on it from minute one. He can't be dwelling on the ball, because you know that Rangers are going to be so aggressive in their press. How many times do we talk about a game at Ibrox? The first 10 minutes, the first 20 minutes, it's usually them just coming out the traps flying like they did last week. We've seen it plenty of times in the past. Celtic are going to have to weather a storm in the first 20 minutes. And guys like Hatate, obviously second half last week, he was dominant in it, but for this first minute, they are going to be on him. Whenever he's on the ball, he can't dwell for too long. Everything has to be quick. He has to be decisive. He cannot get caught in possession. And I'd say he has to come in, though, because right now, the midfield options, again, what is the best combination there? Like the forwards right now, it's like, what is the best midfield combination? But for me, Hatate is a nailed-on one. He has to come in. But we have to see second half Hatate from last week for 90 minutes.
That's the problem. We keep getting a lot of these guys that come in and have a very strong half, and then when they start the next game, they don't take advantage of the opportunity. I mean, look at Luke McCowan, look at Bernardo, especially in the midfield. Negrin's an enigma as well. I mean, he's a man down in the midfield, and yet put him inside the box, he's our top goal scorer. Maybe we should be playing him as striker. Hatate. When Hatate first came to us, I thought he was brilliant. And the games against Rangers were the games that he showed up. He wasn't just showing up and dominating the midfield with reruns and turns and all that. He was scoring goals as well. He was scoring those Carol McGregor type daisy cutters from outside the box. And I thought he looked really good. And then eventually we played them a couple of more times, and they resorted to, was that Lundstrom and Arfield and that. They were just queuing up to take runs at him, and the referees were giving Hatate no protection whatsoever. And I don't think he was used to the physical nature of Scottish football at that time, and the leniency within the referee fraternity or lodge or whatever we want to call it. And and so that's it. I'm hoping he's toughened up. I mean, let's see how he goes there. But the midfield is where we'll win or lose this game.
Yeah.
And if we let them come through the midfield and just come like route one, if they can cancel out Callum McGregor, that's where we struggle. So if everything's getting forced to come through Liam Scales or Trusty, whoever's is on that side, that's where we lose it, because then they play a high press and we don't cope with that very well. I mean, I still think we should be going for a lot long balls, especially diagonals against Rangers.
Yeah.
You know,
Sinisawa likes to go long with his goal kicks. Have you noticed that as well?
I like that as well too. Arroyo, Sarachi. I mean, I think they should be looking at sort of like cross-field balls as well to sort of try and get Rangers off guard so that we can move up the park effectively. You know, the other thing that I'd like to see is, do we play Negrin up front? You know, we've been talking about a formation change and stuff. You know, why not just? He's got all the attributes of a centre forward. He's one of these guys that's able to make space for himself in the box. He's got a uncanny predictability of knowing where the ball's going to land and getting a foot on it. You know, and he's very rarely sclaffing at them. He manages to get there in time, loads of time, where he's taking the ball and just driving it into the net. And anything in that 6-yard box, he seems to be able to sniff out opportunities and get it. It's when we get him in the middle of the park, he just seems like a headless chicken. He's not got much bite there. And so maybe if we're looking for players to take advantage up front, let's play him up there. I mean, we're not getting a lot of opportunities for him to, you know, for guys to hod up the ball or, you know, whipping in crosses and all that. I mean, maybe that's, you know, you play him as a false nine and you play somebody with him, maybe Chinchara. We've talked about big guy, wee guy. Maybe the wee guy is Negrum, who's also a big guy as well. But yeah, I think we need to do something there to move it. The other thing I'm interested about on Sunday is the way we ended that game. We ended that game with a bit of Rami.
We did,
And I like that.
yes.
You know, I like a bit of Rami in my football, right? I like ramen in Vancouver. I like Ramis in Glasgow. And, you know, we Arroyo, he seemed to get it right up them. And I think, I'm hoping there's carryover for that. And I'm hoping that that's what loses them their discipline. And that we can absorb it, but actually punish it as well. So that if they are running to try and get him, because I think he got under their skin. I love guys like Arroyo, Sarachi. Sarachi looks like he's got, you know, last Friday we talked about who's the guys in Celtic that are going to show up with a bit of swagger and going to be like a bit of a, you know, partner merchant on the pitch and all that. Who's going to rub it into Rangers and that, you know? And we're thinking that Arroyo's got all those in his locker. Yeah. I'm hoping that, you know, we've seen with Arroyo where he does a, you know, I want to see him doing a Lustig, you know, and instead of grabbing a police hat, I just hope he grabs a wig right after Raul's head, and wears that as a trophy as we're walking off the park. And supposedly, and I don't know if it's rumours and that, but you know, Monday, Tuesday, I was reading it. There was a Rami in the tunnel, and Arroyo waited for Raskin and wanted to have a go.
It was Machiavelli that reckoned that, wasn't it? He heard the rumours.
I don't know if it was I heard, but if you look at the interaction on the park, it does look like Raskin says something like, "I'll see you in the tunnel," and then Araujo's just like, "Well, come on then," and starts walking towards the tunnel. And of course, Raskin doesn't move towards the tunnel. And yeah, it was no shot. I mean, if you see the instant back, I said it last week on Sunday when me and Terry were doing the post match. We haven't seen the full clip at the time of that whole Rami, but don't be surprised if it was one of their players that started it, because they had a total head loss at the end because they did not, for the love of them, see us coming back in that game. There was definitely an element of arrogance there last week in the post-match stuff when Sky were dissecting the game, and in the studio, James McFadden said to Chris Boyd, "Do you think there was a bit of arrogance for Rangers at halftime where they've just went off thinking this game's in the bag?" And he's like, no, of course not. No, they would never do that. They did. They certainly did. They did again, because even from a Celtic fan point of view, we were all like, how do we come back in this? So they obviously went down a couple of gears thinking, we'll scoosh this. So if you look at the evidence, the first 5 minutes or so in the second half, there's wee moments where they're trying little silky passes and then we managed to get a foothold in the game. After that, the crowd turned. And of course, the crowd is going to be a very, very crucial factor here, Johnny, because there's an X factor to this game. Something that's different about this one compared to the last 7 years of Celtic and Rangers fixtures, because there is a full away allocation, and we are the ones that were the recipients of it because the full Broom loan stand is going to Celtic. Of course, the last time that happened, Watson Edwards scored the winner, and they couldn't take it anymore, and we got basically a reduced allocation after that. But that's going to be huge. I mean, last week it was obviously 2,500, which is obviously a hell of a lot better than no fans, which has been a consistent thing in recent years. But yeah, the 7,500, that could be huge as well. Because we saw how toxic it got in the second half for Rangers with their home crowd getting right on top of them because we were starting to get a foothold in the game. They were getting nervous. They were getting agitated. And I say 2,500 Celtic fans were making plenty of noise. But hey, add another 5,000 on there. It could be a case like we saw at, Rugby Park a few weeks ago where you've got that full stand behind a goal. No, those fans could be the difference between basically sucking the ball into the net because of the energy they bring. And it's going to be raucous in that Celtic end on Sunday. I just hope to God the players give them something worth cheering about. But it's a huge factor, isn't it, Johnny? And hopefully, I doubt this will happen, but hopefully this is the beginning of us seeing a return to this, although I doubt it. I doubt that's going to happen anytime soon. But it is a refreshing change to see it for this one-off anyway.
Yeah. No, it's not going to come back. It's a one-off, and purely because it had to be done. They didn't have any option. Yeah, it's going to be massive. It's going to be great for those that are lucky enough to get a seat in that Broom stand. It's going to be great for us to be watching on the telly and see that stand packed with the green and white. It's going to be fantastic for the players when they walk out the tunnel and they look over there and they see 7,500 there instead of 2,000, 1,500, whatever it's been over the last few years. And I'm hoping that we see, now I'm going to butcher this name, Harajo's scoring a last-minute winner and diving into the Broom loan stand and celebrating with the fans like he did at Rugby Park.
Do you know what I would love to see, right? And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because you just don't know what's going to happen really on Sunday. I would love for one of our players, if they scored down at that end, to go and sit on the same box that Shamiti sat on last week. That really arrogant celebration where he sat there like, oh, this is dead easy. Like he owned the place. How I would love somebody like a Liam Scales or something like that to score a goal and do that celebration. Just because one of our worst players, just for the laugh. Just imagine if one of us done that. But anyway, we'll talk about our predictions a little later on. But that would be pretty funny. But Araujo, that would send them into a serious meltdown because he has absolutely melted them this week with
he's got under their skin big time. Big time. It's like running habit. They don't like Alistair Johnson. He was a right back. They didn't like Mikael Lustig. He was a right back. It seems to be our right backs have a way of just annoying the Rangers fans for some reason. Also, there's a comment that had started there. In fact, you'll appreciate this, Liam. It's about Araujo. Graham Tierney said Araujo reminds him of Stefan Mahe, another nutter, but a right back in this case. He has got a bit of that about him, isn't he?
I was thinking that. See if he shows up with a mohawk on Sunday, I'm getting an Araujo jersey. I'm breaking my ban and getting an Araujo jersey before he's away. But I mean, Stefan Mahe, he that Joe Strummer taxi driver type vibe, just that I absolutely loved. And played with PSG as well. He wasn't exactly like a lone player that that we're trying to develop. This was a proper player and banger that we got. I remember Rile's a tough wee guy. Grew up in Southern California. We all Mexicans. See that tattoo on his back and all that as well. It was like proper. What do you call it? Like the gangs that you see doing in LA. I'm hoping he's waiting for him in the tunnel with the white singlet and the head with the bandana on. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Well, what he did last week,
we Cholo.
The gangs.
Was that Johnny?
I'm saying, was it a case of he became a footballer or a gang member?
Well, still time. It could still be both. And you could do it both on Sunday.
Interesting about him is he actually played for the US national team all through the under 18s, under 21s and that, but now he's declared for Mexico, and obviously he's hoping to be at the World Cup and the summer playing for his national team. But yeah, he's got dual citizenship because he's born in just outside Los Angeles. So he's actually played for the US, but he's chose to declare for Mexico. But I love him, and I'd love for us to obviously try sign him.
That interview he done was good as well. Did you see it, Liam?
Arayo's interview? No.
Yeah. Oh, you have to look for it on YouTube. Basically.
Oh, was it a few weeks ago?
No, just through the week.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Just after it must have been.
I think Sky did it before the Aberdeen game. Yeah,
it's funny how many players we have on their team that play for international teams that don't have the same accent as the rest of their international teams. And the players we've had,
accent,
Matt O'Reilly, Casper, CCV, you know, Johnson's the only one with a Canadian accent. Sinisalo? Oh my God, when he came up, he started talking with that Brummie accent. That threw me off as well.
I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Jan Molby.
That's right, Jan Molby had that Scouser accent, didn't he?
He had well, he still does apparently, but I think I have no idea how long he's been in the UK, but he certainly seems to have picked up the lilt, that's for sure, definitely.
Bobby Petter's another one.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, on the subject just about signing Araujo, I say I don't know if that'll happen, but there was news in the last 24 hours that Sarachi's agent was meant to be meeting with Michael Nicholson. Now I know what you're all thinking. I know what we're all thinking on this one, guys. It's probably a case of he sits down and he's like, well, we're looking for about 7 million, to which Michael Nicholson probably fell out of his chair.
Pesos.
And he probably said, we'll give you 2.5 million. How'd you like that? But no, his agent did come out and say, this was a quote yesterday, saying I'm meeting with him tomorrow, which would be today. So apparently there is some kind of movement going on there about Sarachi maybe becoming a full-time Celtic player, which I think we would all welcome. There was also a story this week that was a bit of a loose link, but it's something that I think a few of us have speculated. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain dropped a thing on the Celtics official podcast talking again about Andy Robertson and hinting that maybe he'll be joining me up here soon. Maybe he's out of contract in the summer. For me, with Andy Robertson, it's now or never because he's 32. So it's like, if you're going to do it, Andy, if you want to play for Celtic, like properly in the first team before you retire, it's now or never. And of course, there's now talk as well. And this is an intriguing one. And this, unfortunately, I need to go back to something I've said enough times now. And I'm worried it's going to happen. But apparently, we're looking at the Motherwell midfielder, Elijah Just, and the boy that plays for Hibs. I can't remember his name, but basically, but basically there's 2 players, and Sean Maloney is heading up the recruitment drive there, and it's like, wait a minute, we don't have a manager confirmed for next season, but Sean Maloney is heading up the recruitment drive, so it's like, he is going to be part of the coaching team next season, because Sean Maloney has said a few times now during this mad season, once this interim spell is over, he's going back to his B team manager job, whatever it is he does, and it's like, well, why then are you heading up a recruitment drive just now for the summer if you're going to go back and be the B team pathway manager? So again, my conspiracy theories, everything's going in my head where I'm like, oh no, surely it's not a case that they're going to make Maloney the manager. Please, Celtic, I keep saying it, going to just prove me wrong on this. Just don't go for the lazy and quick appointment. But I did find that interesting that those stories were coming out and we don't actually have a manager confirmed for next season. So,
or Phil, it could be that they know who the manager's going to be.
Maybe they do. Not going to tell us.
Eh?
Not going to tell us though, are they?
They're not going to tell us. And that manager
might have an international commitment.
Manager at the minute.
Well, yeah, I know.
He might have an international commitment right now. Maybe that's it.
Well, perhaps. I know Martinez is the name that's came up, but there's a lot of worries about Martinez as well. His club record is abysmal. I didn't realise how bad his stats were. When we brought it up a few weeks ago when the links were coming out and somebody left a comment after the video saying Martinez was a terrible appointment. He's got a 27% win record at club level across Everton, Swansea and Wigan, I think it is. But because he won an FA Cup with Wigan, it clouds everybody's judgment on him.
I was just going to say that, Phil. The fact he was the manager at Belgium with the golden...
Yeah.
The golden era, which didn't turn golden as it happens. No, Martinez is not an appointment that has me excited in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, he's one of these ones that feels. I think there's a really famous clip from Sky Sports Soccer Saturday, and it was like Paul Merson was on with like the classic team, like Charlie Nicholas, Phil Thompson, Jeff Stelling, and he was talking about how much con man Martinez is. And he says he's got this ability where he'll do interviews and he'll talk, and the way he bigs him, just the way he words it all, you come away from it going, he's actually really good. He's an amazing manager. But when you actually look at his stats in the cold light of day, it's like he's not. But I was the same when his name first came up. I went, oh, he ticks a lot of the boxes. He does. But then I say when I now look at his stats, somebody left a comment on the video saying Martin has got like a 27% win record at club level, and I was like, oh no, that's brutal. So. But again, these are all things that we're going to have to look at in the summer. We'll wait and see. But yeah, I've made it clear plenty of times. Celtic, do not, for the love of God, go for the quick, cheap appointment here, because that is not the answer neither. But they keep doing things that worry me. They keep doing that. But yeah, before we do our predictions then for the game, we've just hit an hour there. So we'll do the quiz. We'll go back to the trivia question from the start of the show if anybody missed it. So there are 5 answers, everybody, to this one. And it was... Celtic and Rangers met in a highly charged Scottish Cup tie back in 2011. Can you name all 5 players who were sent off across the initial tie at Ibrox and then the replay at Celtic Park? And if you can't remember that game, it's obviously the one where Scott Brown did the Bruni celebration. That's the one. We drew 2 each, and then we won 1-0 at Celtic Park. We had 5 players were sent off across both games. 4 of them played for Rangers and 1 for Celtic. So Johnny and Liam, before I go to the comments, do you have any answers for me?
I've got to admit, I am struggling big time with this.
But yeah, I can't even remember 2011. Too many drugs, man.
I know, I am struggling big time with this.
I know one of them, but I just can't remember his name. The big hun that looked like Jar Jar Binks with the Star Wars films. He got sent off, right? Is that close enough?
This could be.
I get half a point for that.
I'll give you half a point for that.
I'll hedge you. And Diouf, did he get sent off?
Diouf got sent off after the replay, after the full-time whistle. There was a Rami at full-time, where obviously Neil Lennon and McCoist got into it. Obviously, there was something said. But the player that was sent off in amongst that, after the full-time whistle, was Diouf. So he's one. That's 1 point, yes.
Alec Gray?
No, Alec Gray was gone by then. He was the player anymore at that point. But I mean, good shout. A few people in the chat, I've got a few of them already. But before I bring them up, I'll give you another chance to get a few more if you can before I start.
I am struggling big time to even think who played for Rangers, because obviously we've got Diouf. So there's another 3 Rangers players, yeah?
Who gets sent off for us? That's an interesting one, isn't it, Liam?
Scott Brown.
Well, I was first thinking Scott Brown, but...
No, not Scott Brown. He was actually a good boy in this one.
Yeah.
He was actually well behaved, yep. The season before he gets sent off against Rangers under Mowbray, but no, this was under Lennon. So, do you want the answers, guys?
Have we got any of the guys on the comments going?
Let's have a wee
I'll have a look
so,
now.
a few people have got Diouf. Kieran's guessed Davy Weir. That wasn't. Davy Weir was not one of them. McCulloch was not one of them. Pato has got one of them. Stephen Whittaker was one of the players that got sent off in there. Whittaker's name's in there. Yeah, he was sent off. Kieran Allen got Bugera. Majid Bugera was sent off as well. Alan Robertson guessed Chris Commons. Chris Commons was not himself. He did score though. Chris Commons scored that day at Ibrox in the 2-2 draw. Everyone remembers the Scott Brown goal, but Chris Commons scored their first goal that day.
I think we more remember the celebration than the goal. Oh, the goal was a cracker itself, but
so the score or the red cards were so in the 2-2 game, Stephen Naismith was sent off for Rangers. Stevie Naismith got a second booking for a dive, and Fraser Foster was sent off for us. We gave away a penalty right on half time. Fraser Foster was the last man, and he gets sent off. And in the replay at Celtic Park, Majid Bugera was sent off, as was Stevie Whittaker. And just to confirm as well, Celtic 1, Rangers 0. Diouf sent off after whistle as McCoist and Lennon square up on the sideline. So yeah, it was Fraser Foster, Stephen Naismith, Stevie Whittaker, Majid Bugera, and El Hadj Diouf for the 5 players. I say the infamous shame game that caused all sorts of stuff with the SNP bringing in all sorts of new rules for football fans, and yeah, they had 4 players sent off, but we were dragged into this. That we were in the wrong as well. Like, come on, man! Our guy was sent off because it was a last man. It was a goalkeeper. Last man sent off gives away a penalty. What can you do? 2 of their players were sent off at the full-time whistle in the 1-0 game because it was a Rami that broke out, but apparently we were part of the problem as well. Unbelievable. But anyway, that was so hopefully this game on Sunday is a bit more calmer. We don't have to go through that. As I say, there were no replays this time. If it is a draw after 90 minutes, we will have to go to extra time. And For the love of God, not a penalty shootout, not with this Celtic team, please. But Liam, wise man, what's it going to be? How's it going to end then on Sunday? What's your prediction?
I still think they're due one against them. Honestly, their luck can't keep going. It's going to run out. The only thing that's going to stop us is the refereeing, and we just have to sort of batter down the hatches, get ourselves in the right mood so that we come out absolutely flying. None of this shit have given them the first half. And we do come out flying and we get a goal. That's when we up the pressure. You want to keep it going after that. That's when the motivation needs to kick in. That's where we need to have a very vocal captain. That's where we need to have some of the senior players on the park guiding these boys through it to absorb the crowd, let them eat themselves, and then just get into them. Yeah, I'm wanting to see. I was going to say 3-0. I think a 2-0, 2-0 or 3-1, but I think we'll win by 2 clear goals, and it might be 2-1 and edgy, and then we get a third. But I'm hoping for that, and I want to see a Royal rip somebody's head off, and just find a way to get Sriracha on the park as well, because he's a spicy wee unit as well, and I like him.
I think Sriracha will be on the park from the start, Liam. So you'll get your wish from that.
Two spicy fullbacks there, so hopefully they bring the heat. But Johnny, what's your score prediction then for Sunday?
I'm not sharing Liam's confidence quite to the extent he is, if I'm being honest. I find it quite puzzling that this season in particular, take it back a few seasons actually, but a lot of teams seem to be able to cause Rangers a lot of problems. And we're not one of them. I think, and I do struggle to see where goals are going to come from. Purely, there's no way I can go against my own team, so I'm not going to. But I think if we're going to win this, it's going to be tight. It's going to be cagey. It's going to be 1-0 or 2-1. It's going to be strap yourselves in, get some volume down you, try and keep calm. I'm going to go for the win, but I'm not as confident as how Liam is.
Liam does this every week. He keeps saying
I know he does it every week. On the law of averages, he's going to get it right. And let's just hope that he's got it right this weekend. But
yeah, this is the time.
When I look at the team, and I find it difficult at the minute to be confident about us beating anybody at the minute, if I'm being honest. I think this season more than any other season when we've sat down to watch it, doesn't matter whether it's against Motherwell, whether it's against Rangers, Aberdeen, you can't sit there and think we're going to do them 5 or 6-0, because I don't think we've done a 5 or 6-0 this season yet, have we?
No, 4-0 was the best we've had.
Our best striker's efforts is something like 4 goals or something, is it? Maida with 5 or something, is it?
Johnny Kenny has got 6 goals, no competition, not even a Celtic player anymore.
Who's doing very well at Bolton, by the way. They're loving him at Bolton at the minute.
Oh God!
I see that in the local news down in this area. But I'm gonna go 1-0 or 2-1. It's gonna be a tight affair. It might even be extra time.
Okay, it could be. Come in there, everyone. Right, before I give my prediction, let's see what the chat are saying. Let's get some positivity going. So Sligo boy says, I say 0-3 Celtic, half-time. 3-0 at half-time. 1-3 final score. So our Broomloan Road boys may not see a close-up goal, in my opinion. Fair enough. Well, as long as Celtic win. But yeah, it would be quite good if they do score down that end. What's guy saying? He's saying 2-3. What else have we got here? Oh, Stephen. Penalties win. No, nobody wants to sit through that. Oh my God! And those
tell Jerry to send out some defibrillators to everybody. Well, that's the case.
God, I don't think we can handle that one. But if we win, fair enough. But it'll be a hard watch. Patrick Goss says 3-2 after extra time. Kieran Allen is saying 1-0 Celtic. William O'Toole says 3-1 to the Hoops. Pato, it's a cop out. You said 2-2 again. There has to be a winner though. You can't go with 2-2. That's against the rules. Stephen is saying 3-1 for me, 1-0 from Chilpill. Graham Tyrrell says 2-1 Celtic, 2-0 at half time. Okay, oh God. Jose Boy 67, 5-1 Celtic. He's on the same wavelength as you, Liam. He's out there with you in that one.
I think we just figured out who our IO is on the bus.
Maybe
that's me, Josie.
James Kennedy says 3-1 to Celtic. So yeah, everybody seems quite confident in the chat. Chris Murray's also added 2-1 to Celtic, and Ali also says 3-2. So yeah, I'm going to agree with saying it's going to be a narrow one. It's going to be, we're going to have to work hard for this, and it's so crucial we make a good start. It goes without saying. Is it capable that we can fall behind early on again and make another comeback? I don't know. We have to take the lead in this game. We have to, stand up to the early storm, get a goal, and just go from there. But it needs to be a 90-minute performance. It might even be a 120-minute performance. It could end up one of the days. But yeah, we need to be at our absolute best here. And if we get the job done, then hey, an unlikely double is still on the table, which is incredible to think, given where we were just a couple of months ago. But it's still there to be won. One team's double dream will die on Sunday. Hopefully, it's not us. I'll say a scrappy 2-1 victory for us, and it's going to be a hard day at the office. But with that 7,500 Celtic fans in the stadium, that could be the difference, and hopefully it is. But either way, win, lose or draw, whatever happens, you know that we'll be back on Sunday for the post-match show. Terry will be here. I'll jump on with him as well. So look out for that, folks. Hit the subscribe button, bell notification, and all the good stuff on the way out. You'll be notified when we are live on Sunday. And yeah, hopefully when you do come back, we are talking about a resounding Celtic victory. And as I say, the double is still on the table. As amazing as that sounds to say. But yes, Liam, Johnny, thanks for joining me this evening. It's been good to see you again, as always. Another fun show. And yeah, thanks everybody in the chat. And yeah, there's nothing more that needs to be said other than Celtic, just go and get it done. You know what needs to be done here. We showed last week that we can stand up to them, what we can do. So all we got to do is just repeat it again. I mean, how hard can it be? How hard can it be? So yes, we'll see you on Sunday, folks. Enjoy the game, and catch you later. Cheers.
Yep.